What is going on, internet? I think I left my phone. Let me grab that and my beverage. Okay, tonight we are going to do a little bit of Epic, probably for about an hour. I haven't set anything up with anybody, so we're going to just be hitting the cues. I'll sort of preface the stream like I do with many for Epic. Epic is a great game if you're hopping on new. It is a collectible card game. However, not like those you might think of when you hear that term, CCG. It's entirely free. Everybody gets all the cards, so there's no advantage there. Also, in terms of play, there's no ramp up in terms of things like mana. Everyone is fully powered from the start, and each player gets one gold to spend on each player's turn, thus effectively giving each player one major action per turn, and of course many minor actions. We'll see those. Uh, like my streams, we're not going to be explaining the rules. However, I will be explaining um, sort of high-level decision making, and we'll kind of go from there. If anyone is in chat and wants to hop in, feel free. Send challenges or even just feel free to comment. So I think what we'll start off doing is maybe just hit the constructed queue. Constructed is where I spend most of my time. And we're going to be playing an evil token build, I think, here, if we can hit somebody in this queue. And we are. We're going to hit Sam U to death. He and I have been playing a fair amount. Did some challenges, in fact, earlier today. Though I do not remember Sam U to death from the alpha. He seems to have a pretty good understanding of the game already. So it's going to be our play. Knowing we have a gudgeon on our play, which is going to draw us a couple cards and keep us untargetable for a little bit, I think we're happy with our hand because everything looks pretty good. We're going to back it up with a couple more. So we'll accept it, and we will in fact play our gudgeon, drawing us a corpse taker and a final task. We're going to pass it. Also starting in our hand, we've got a Misguide Herald, a Raxa Demon Tyrant, a Necromancer Lord, and a Rift Summoner. Samu to death, using his gold on our turn, played a Pyromancer, killing our Gudgeon. We're going to put the gudgeon back in hand, though, using our corpse taker, effectively giving us a blocker as well, and possibly some graveyard hate if we need it. So far, all we know about Sammy to Death's deck at this point is the Pyromancer. Tells us we know he's playing wild, at least. What type of wild, at how much wild, we're going to find out. Sammy to Death says, let's go ahead and swing with our Pyromancer. I think what we're going to do is we're going to pass through attack events and we're going to block, in fact, with our Corpse Taker. We'll sacrifice that if Sammy to Death decides to do any shenanigans in the block events, then maybe we'll consider doing something else as attack. Otherwise, we're fine neutralizing that attack threat for the 0 cost that really just got us our gudgeon back. So Sammy to Death finishes that attack and will spend his one playing a gold dragon. Now we're talking. Gold dragon is troublesome for me right now. I don't have anything in the air. This deck does suffer from a little bit of trouble with attackers in the air. So I think instead what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we'll use our one after he finishes his attack. It is going to be a Rift Summoner that we're going to play. We could have done that during his attack. It has ambush. That means we could have done it really during any legal playable window. I think we're going to show the gudgeon that he knows we already have. We're going to also show him a Raxa Demon Tyrant. The information that we show with loyalty is important. Mostly for him to remember, but also to some degree for us to remember that we showed him. So we'll see how he likes that. Now, in addition to that Gold Dragon being a problem hitting us damage, it's also gaining him life back. Now, when this deck works, it deals a lot of damage. I mean, I'm not that concerned about his life gain, but it is something to be mindful of. So I think we're just going to start by attacking, tempting Samu to death, to spending his answers, perhaps even his gold. That's what we'd like to have happen. If we can spend our gold later in the turn than our opponent, we have a better statistical and strategic chance of winning the game. The player who is able to spend their gold latest in the contest per turn knows most information when they make when they decide to spend their gold, and that's important. Also, of course, playing into that is the loyalty we talked about just a little bit ago. Also, additional information that you have. Okay, so Samu to Death ends up playing a Crystal Golem, puts it out there to effectively place the block, get a couple of cards, does spend his gold to do so, so we now have a pretty good chance of getting some damage in. And if that 4 gets in, I think we're even just going to send with this Rift Summoner. I think it's something that people don't do all that often. But if you know you can get damage in, wise to do so sometimes. Okay, so since he did put a Crystal Golem in his graveyard, that is somewhat of a tempting target for us. We do have a lot of recursion in our deck. You can see in our hand we have a Necrolord and a Final Task. I think for the time being, we'd like to have a blocker out there. So we're going to put the Misguide out, and we're going to Medusa that Gold Dragon. And we're happy with that. We'll continue on. Got a good board presence. That really is what this deck does. It puts out lots and lots of threats. This deck really is about enough quantity to be over quality. In addition, there is lots of good quality in this deck. But really, if we can simply put out more threats on our opponent, each attack we make, each individual attack with a token, uh, tempts our opponent to do something, to spend their answers, to spend their gold, to spend the resources that they have that they would otherwise be using against us or filling their hand. Sammy to Death, in fact, says, let's slow our roll, offers me a check pass. We're going to take it. Okay, let's go ahead and send with the flyer first. I do like to send sometimes with evasion first. I talked about sending threats one at a time. That's a big part of Epic. And it's a big transition from other games where you may only have one attack, same magic. Looks like Sammy to Death is going to take the first hit. Let's send both demons. Advantage there being if he does in fact happen to block, it can take out they can take out the Pyromancer together. This time he says let's do just that. Will he use his one before it goes away? Will not. So one of our demons survives. Let's send with the Medusa as well. And he will spend. Surprise attacks into a rampaging worm. Very interesting. Rampaging worm. Is he going to block the Medusa with the worm? Probably. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to sacrifice the Medusa. I think what I'd like to do is grab hold of that crystal golem and attack with it, hoping he has no actions and can take 7 and get us 2 cards. The final task brings it out hasty, with blitz I should say, since this is epic. So it does in fact look like that's what's going to happen. He is going to take 7. We have halved his life. He is now at 15. We will in fact sack that to draw 2 cards. We're feeling good. He does have a big fat rampaging worm coming at us next turn, but we've got answers, and I think we'll take it to the next turn. So like we said, our goal here is to pound out lots of threats. We do have a good amount of tokens on the board. We've got tons of champions in this deck that create lots of tokens. Hence, I call this deck Evil Tokens. Many people do run similar builds. I do see other builds with some white in it for Justice Prevails and the likes. Instead, maybe people have seen the stream before, have heard me say I prefer the Deadly Raid and the Battle Cry, that type of finisher. So here comes that Rampaging Worm. Samu to Death. I have to assume that in 6 cards, there's a good chance he has a Rage and or a Lash. So I think it is wise to put some decent blockers out there. Let's in fact put a third demon out there with that Word of Summoning, cycling out two cards, getting us a third demon. And assuming he is going to pass it back to me, attack events, we're going to put all three in front of it. And see what happens. Okay, he lets the damage resolve. Now my thought was there, if he did in fact Razor Lash, we might even Battle Cry defensively. Did not. He is going to put out an Avenging Angel. Now on the short end, taking 6 and him gaining 6 is not great. On the bigger problem, if we go to his turn and it's expended and living, we can't attack. We don't have a specific answer for it at the moment. We're going to Battle Cry on his turn. We got the second Wither. We could use both Withers on the Angel, and I think we're going to. Wither is mostly in here against other token-based decks, and since his is not, I think we're okay using both of them to quell the one threat there. Okay, so we are going to go to our turn. We will continue to walk Samu to death down towards the end of our turn. I think this round we're going to look at maybe using a Xanos Corpse Lord. Effectively, we're moving towards direct damage to get the job done here, to finish it off. Samu to death is going to play a Savage Uprising. It takes out my 1-cost creatures. Ooh, tough call. Do I, in fact? Yeah, I think we do. I thought about maybe Drain Essencing his worm now. But I think the play is the Xanos. We're going to show him all 6 cards. That is going to gain us 6. It is going to hit Samu to death for 6. It's going to give us tokens. We're going to attack, I think, and probably get this other 4 through. I was thinking about it. Yeah, here we go. Now, we're in a good spot here. If he, in fact, attacks with his Rampaging Worm on his turn, where it's going back to, and we block with the Xanos, we're able to bring that right back out next turn using the Necrolord and finish him off. He's going to start off with a Draka Dragon Tyrant overhead, wiping my zombies and coming in for Blitz 9 in the air. We have a crafty Drain Essence for that. And he concedes. So, good game, Samu to death. We're going to skip over some of these acing turns for now. I know those are not the greatest things to watch in stream. But yeah, Happy with the result there against Samuel to death. Good game. On the weird off chance he happens to find this, if I do end up chatting with him, well, I don't know if I'll send him a link that says, "Hey, here's this game that I won," but I'll certainly let him know that a game that he took part in was streamed. So let's jump right back into the queue with the same deck. So those decks do, of course, contain finishers like Battle Cry, Deadly Raid, Justice Prevails. There are others, Winds of Change. Demonic Uprising. That actually is in all the builds. It seems like amazing card, just an incredible card. So many different weird uses, and in times where also in your hand it's not great. It's very well designed, very interesting card. Maybe we'll get to see it here on this next game. If we don't pull anyone here in the constructed queue in the next maybe minute, we'll go hit the quick match queue and see what luck we have there. So once again, the crux of Epic here, the thing that we are really focusing on, the thing that makes and breaks your wins and losses, prioritizing that gold. Again, everyone gets one major action per turn, per each player's turn. But you have to tend to several things. There's, of course, killing your opponent and getting the threats out that you have chosen to put into your deck. But also you do need to deal with your opponent's threats, and you have to keep your hand filled. And all of these things require attention, but you can only spend your one gold in deciding where it goes and in which of those to address now. And perhaps thinking about what you're going to be addressing next turn, things like that. That's all that all goes into it, of course. But that's what makes you good at Epic if you can navigate that. Okay, this is good. We're gonna hit Travis. This is Night Hydra. We've streamed with him before. Travis does have, in fact, a podcast started. He hasn't really spread it too much and hasn't, I've offered, but I think they're still getting kind of ramped up right now. But it is Epic Dads. I'm missing a word there. I'll get their channel. In any case, Travis, we're going to start off right now here. Yeah, I think we like our hand. Let me find that channel. Terribly Epic Dads. On YouTube, that is their channel. That is where they're doing the podcast, and a good job of just talking Epic. So he's going to put out a Force Mage Apprentice, hit me for 2, and he's going to pass. Interesting start. Interesting start. You know what? I'm not. I think we're just gonna pass through. Well, it's fine. Now, if I do put the Gudgeon out there, he is most likely going to spend his blue and slap it, the Gudgeon. So I don't think we're gonna do that. I think what we are going to do is just get some life nice and early. We're not going to play any games with his Force Mage Apprentice and let him have that turn after turn. Normally, we'd of course want to kill a 1 with a 1. Killing a 0 with a 1 isn't usually efficient in Epic, but it gets us out there. The fact that he didn't spend his 1 on turn 1, and didn't spend it there either. Very interesting. So, must not have liked what what's going on there, and perhaps not had any draw. So maybe he is going to have to spend a turn or a gold or two writing his hand. That's kind of what we're probably going to end up doing as well anyway. He offers me a check pass. We're going to take it. Now with the I was gonna say now with the force mage in the discard pile, maybe we put the gudgeon out there, but the misguide is also certainly enticing. I think we're gonna play the gudgeon like we wanted to, and maybe hope to pull a surprise attack that maybe we can use on his turn with the misguide. We don't, but we're happy with what we do have. We pull a zombie apocalypse and a rift summoner. Also, in our opening hand, we did have a zombie apocalypse, ancient chant, battle cry, and amnesia. So Travis decides to get a couple cards of his own. Says if you want to have that gudgeon out there, you got to spend it again. He plays an erase, bounces it back to my hand. So perfectly fine. Looks like if we pass, we're going to end up discarding. I think that's fine. Ancient Chant is a great choice when having to do that. So we like our hand. We've got everything we need to sort of start getting set up for what we want to do with this deck. Of course, we do need to deal with him as well. So he is going to send out a Shadow Imp. Having gained 9 already, we're not that concerned about taking 2 or even 4 this turn from the Shadow Imp. Further, this deck does feature a fair amount of life gain. It's not running Consumes like some of the versions are, but it does have both Drain Essences and, of course, the Xanos. I'm not as excited about taking 5 from the Knight, but I don't know that there's a lot we can do about it. Yeah, you know what? I think we let's go ahead and get the Rift Summoner out there. We're going to show him the Gudgeon that he's aware of and one of the zombie apocalypses. And I think rather than be greedy and try letting it survive through his block events, we're going to break one of those demon. We're going to break that demon now. And we'll use one of them to block the Dark Knight. So in doing so, we did have to spend our 1 before Travis did. So that, of course, we'll see if we get punished for doing so. Or if instead he decides to deal with threats on our board. He is going to play a Thought Plucker. He's going to return the Shadow Imp to his hand. What are we going to discard? I think we can afford to lose one of those 2 zombie apocalypses. So Travis playing the his turn plucker gives us all the way through our turn to decide if we want to deal with it. Okay, we'll go to our turn. Well, let's first see if he wants to block with it. We'll send with our demon token. Now we're going to decide when we're going to use that amnesia. Uh, some players will sit and wait till there is some sort of threat that they in particular want to get rid of. I don't like letting discard piles just sit if they're in recycle range. Now, obviously, you can't take them all the time. I mean, there's only so much removal. Let's go ahead and send with that summoner. See if he wants to take that 5 as well. Unless I'm going to make an effort to get that plucker out into play on my side, I'd like to kill it and wipe it. So Travis does take 9 on the turn. I could feel good about that and pass. I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to play the misguide. And I think we're going to take his board out by playing a Raxa, showing the Gudgeon and my other zombie apocalypse. Adds to our board, deals with his. We feel very good about it. Now, if we can keep our board, he's going to tap it for now. With a Drake, he's going to show us a Memory Spirit and that Shadow Imp. We know we can get a event back. Right now, the only event in his discard pile is the Erase. I don't think him tapping our stuff down is that big of a deal. So now that we did, in fact, get the Plucker in there, we are going to wipe it like we hoped. In addition, do I wipe my Ancient Chant? That gives us an additional card, but I also kind of like having it in the discard pile. It is a deterrent to him wiping my discard pile. And it's an extra option for a card draw if we need it. So I think we're good with that. Travis is at 21. We're at 35. What we've seen so far, I don't know that Travis is running life gain. I forget if he's showed us something like a Drain Essence to this point. He's going to send with his Drake. We do not care. We'll take the 6. Your life total in Epic is absolutely a resource like everything else. I see newer players protecting their life total entirely too much, answering my small threats, tokens and things like that. That is a lesson that does take some time to learn. That you need to take the small threats. For instance, this Shadow Imp, not a big deal. Could I spend my 1 with the Drain Essence and kill it? Yes, I could. But I know that I'm going to be gaining enough life gain in this deck in this game. Okay, Travis is going to bounce everything. He's going to play a Time Walker. He's going to show us that Imp and that Memory Spirit. We want to get some stuff back out there as quickly as possible. We're going to show him things he's basically already seen. Now, I don't remember all what Travis bounced. That's kind of unfortunate, but that's okay. Let's start sending with tokens. So that's right. I think he's got a Drake. He's going to probably tap down my stuff again. Not a big deal. He knows I knows he has it. He knows I've got stuff behind my attack. Certainly behind the 1 that I'm going to spend after he does, if he does that. So he decides to block with the Elemental. Or the Walker, rather. Okay, let's send with the next one. He knows he could just be kind of dealing with the repeat attack of last turn. Okay, so there's that erase or a erase. He's gonna bounce that token, drawing a couple cards. He has spent his one. Let's see if he's gonna let us hit him with that summoner again. Summoner's getting more damage in than making tokens. That's kind of funny. But again, that's sometimes how you got to get it done. And it does. It gets in. So we don't have any more damage we can just attack with. Let's play one of our misguides. Since there's nothing in the discard pile to resurrect with the Necrolord, let's get that Murderous Necromancer out there. And again, show him a couple things he's already aware of. Get us 3 more zombies. Once again, this deck does just pound out volume. He has effectively wiped or bounced the board now a couple times, and stuff has just sort of appeared back on the board during his turn. Twice now. And that's good. That's what this does. It's good recovery. This time, Travis is going to play the Angel of Death. I missed what he showed us. Let's see what he showed us. He showed us a Necrolord and a Corpse Taker. He's going to use the Corpse Taker to get the Time Walker back. So we know that he has that. This turn, we don't really have things yet that we can just put into play to give us more tokens. Let's Wolf's Bite the Corpse Taker. This time I think we are going to hit that chant, getting us another card. What I'd like to get is either something that will let us put something out yet on his turn, and we did. We've got the Rift Summoner again. Very handy. I was looking for that or a surprise attack. So sure enough, let's once again reveal a couple of things he's already seen. We're going to hit the Wolf token this time. We have got nice 3 tokens ready to go. And yeah, being on the other end of this, you just got to feel like they never end. You do your job, your deck wipes them, and boom, they're already attacking you. Very interesting. We pulled our Deadly Raid. So what we're going to do is we're going to attack. And if he happens to, by chance, use his one to drop anything, we really have 2 finishers. We've got our Battle Cry and our Deadly Raid. Either one here is probably going to do the trick. The question is whether, how he's going to choose to answer it. If he, in fact, adds to his board presence by dropping a creature, we at least know. Interesting. He puts down... So he does drop a block. He doesn't spend his one. I don't think we're ready to quite use ours yet on either finisher. Let's go ahead and let him block first. And Travis is going to play at Ice Drake and tap down our crew. A Memory Spirit and Shadow Imp, the same 3 that he has shown us before. So now, neither of the 2 finishers we discussed are effective. I think instead we're going to end up using this turn to get more of a presence. Let's go ahead and finish the current attack. I think we're going to play the Misguide, and we're going to go hopefully looking for a Xanos. We did not get a Xanos directly, but we do have a Misguide. And we'll try again. Interesting. We are going to hit a Drinker. We don't have an immediate wipe to benefit the drinker, but that's okay. I think we're going to pass our turn and see what happens. Now, Travis, for the first time here, can kind of breathe. Hope I didn't just affect the stream in any way with my audio. Kind of regrouping. Draws says, what do we do here? It's a good chance that he is going to start with a swing. Looks like it's going to be from the Shadow Imp. Once again, not compelled to spend any resources dealing with the Imp. We will end up taking the 2. As I said earlier in the cast, this deck does have a little bit of a problem with flyers, but right now we've got them. And Travis is once again going to Time Walker everything back to hand. That's okay. We will once again play a Rift Summoner. We're going to show him cards he has already seen. We're going to get our additional demon, rather. So it is an interesting defense, certainly effective in keeping me from, say, finishing the job here. So we did draw a Xanos. We know that that's probably going to be our play. In the meantime, let's send him attacks and see if we can get Travis to spend his 1. Once again, we know that he has a Drake. Does he want to spend his 1? He's not going to do it yet. We're going to attack again with the zombie. If he blocks with the Muse, we're going to see if we can get that Rift Summoner in for the 3rd time. So once again, guys, check out Terribly Epic Dads. That is where Night Hydra and also Mango Tango have their epic discussions. It's going to block with that Shadow Imp. And he's going to bring back from the discard pile an Erase. Well, I think we're going to use our Corpse Taker. I thought we had one. Maybe we don't have one. I thought we did. Okay. Let's play as Xanos. Showing him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. It's going to give us 6 zombies. It's going to gain us 6 life. And it is going to deal 6 to Travis, putting him at 10 life. I think I thought I had a Corpse Taker because his is showing from his discard pile. So we need to discard some cards. We just have too many. So I think having 3 finishers in hand is unnecessary. I think the one that we're going to... Gonna let the Gudgeon go. Nope. Yeah, Yeah, we're gonna let one of the misguides go, and I think we have enough life for. I think we're gonna end up keeping all three of those finishers after all. So they do have merits even on the opponent's turn. I think because people don't see a second option on the card that simply says draw two cards, people overlook that in the battle cry, but it absolutely draws you two cards if you use it on their turn and makes your creatures big. So it's certainly worthy. We're gonna take Travis's Memory Spirit 5 in the air. That'll put us at 26 unless he boosts it. Deadly Raid, of course, does have the draw two, as does the Demonic Rising. The Demonic Rising can do all sorts of weird things on either turn, but it is dependent on you having more quantity than your opponent. Certainly, if you just have PUDs, you might even be upgrading them, and you might be downgrading a swarm of badasses down to PUDs. So we end up taking the Muse, we take the Shadow Imp. With the life gain that we've had this game, we're not concerned about losing to damage at this point. We're trucking on and looking to finish this. The question is whether Travis is going to try to do something about the board. He may misguide into a Time Walker again. He certainly has found it. He is going to select it. It's going to show us an Ice Drake and a Shadow Imp, and everything's going to get bounced. But I don't know how advantageous that is. I don't know if he's even really thinking about it, but I mean, that's going to put so many cards in my hand, and I'm going to draw a couple more right now. We may end up being able to Xanos outright for 10. So here that is on his turn, that Battle Cry. So I don't know if we're going to quite have 10, but it's going to be close. Okay, so the Xanos itself, we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's going to bring Travis to 3. And the good news is, if in fact we get to priority on his turn and those zombies are still there, we do have a surprise attack into a Drinker of Blood with a Wither. Now it looks like Travis is going to drain Essence away the corpse, I'm sorry, the Xanos, putting him to 12. So still in range for that surprise Drinker Wither. And it's going to work. We are going to surprise attack into the Drinker. Got the Wither for the zombies. And all 6 or 7. I couldn't quite see. Each of them will trigger independently, dealing 2 damage to him, gaining me 2 life. That is going to be lethal And that's a good game, Travis. Thank you so much for playing and for the game. And guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for stopping in, checking it out. If you're checking it out on YouTube after the fact, thank you also for doing so. Please share. Once again, good games to Travis as Night Hydra and also Sam You to Death. I've not met Sam in person yet. Don't know who that is, but we will hope to see him in queues soon, and I know we will. Good to see you guys. Have a good night.